What's up, everyone? I'm your host, Ryan Goto, and welcome to episode 8 of the SpellTap Gaming Podcast. In this episode, we'll be venturing into the highlights of the Summer Game Fest and then discussing Starfield being locked at 30 frames per second on consoles. Now, before we dive into today's exciting episode, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button on our YouTube channel and follow us on our social media pages to stay updated on all things SpellTap Gaming. And if you're enjoying our discussions, you can also catch us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Joining me once again is our co-host, the gaming savant, Christopher J. Gannon. What's up, Chris?
What's up?
And today we have an extra special guest with us, a man who has seen the Summer Game Fest firsthand, the sharp-eyed, insightful Ben Howard. What's up, Ben?
What's going on? Good to see you.
And we have a bonus guest. Joe Vig is back with us again. What's up, Joe?
What?
Yo, what's up, dude?
He's back. All right. Okay, guys, so let's kick things off with a fun question. I'm going to start with Ben. If you could live in any video game world, which would you choose?
Oh, my goodness. I would have to either pick Fallout or Starfield.
Fallout? Really? That's surprising.
Yeah. I've lost myself. I feel like I've lost myself in that world. I've more or less found myself in that world, I think is a better word. I've always felt like I would have a good place in that world, and I've always felt like I'm a kind of a Brotherhood of Steel kind of guy.
Of course.
Do really well with the technology and being able to recover pre-war stuff like that. I've always felt like that's such an interesting world too, and said like there's always something new to discover in that world. Like it never gets old. That's why I think I would love to live in it, because not a day goes by where you're not seeing something new come out of the wasteland.
Are you a Fallout 76 guy?
I am. I've been playing for a really long time, actually, since launch.
Wow.
On PC or console?
PC.
PC,
So
I think that's the way to go.
So I've seen the worst of it, and I've seen the best of it.
It's getting good. I on the Xbox Showcase, they kind of did a little bit about what's coming up for 76, and I actually downloaded it today, so we should definitely party up.
Absolutely. Fallout 76 has definitely come a long way from where it started. Started off as a really, really rough launch, and I got to experience that firsthand. And then now I think I've gotten like, I've got hundreds of hours in that game. I'm like level 250 something now.
Wow.
And yeah, I've done with the end game, done with most of it. I haven't gone back in a while, but it's come a long way.
That's awesome. I love it when franchises we love, stick around, and they, the developers really put the time and energy to fix the shit and work with the community to make something like, that lasts a little bit longer. And it's surprising to me, like after that launch, that Fallout 76 still has that much of a player base. And that just goes to show you that they're willing to, double down on it, which is amazing for all the people who really enjoy that game.
And if you were there at launch too, you got a hold of things called legacy weapons now. So like people that were there at the beginning of launch are like filthy, stinking rich in the game now. And I think it's gone to the point now where people are actually selling in-game guns for real-world cash.
Nice.
Like you can go on eBay and find like
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like an energy weapon, a legacy explosive energy weapon for like $100 on eBay, and that guy will give it to you in game. And like these weapons you can't get anymore because they weren't meant to exist, but Bethesda left them in and called them legacy. So it gives something to the community that stuck with it from the very beginning, and
that's awesome.
It's giving something to the new community as well.
I'd sell all that shit.
I'm so bummed that it's not crossplay, dude.
I know
it needs to be crossplay. Like all my data, everything is on Xbox, and it is not optimized for console. It's just not, and it's a bummer. It's a bummer. So I got to start fresh on PC, and I don't have those legacy weapons that I do in on Xbox.
That game came out prior to like the crossplay, the crossplay era of
that's
them
true.
doing it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chris, which video game world would you live in?
I don't know. I mean, call me a bitch if you want, but I would want to live in the Animal Crossing world.
The safest world you can live in, right?
What's wrong with that?
Dude, where everyone
What's wrong
helps
with
each
that?
other. What's wrong with that?
I just want to chill out with like my hamster bro and like, go fishing and, everything's routine. It all, people come through on like Wednesdays, other people come through on Saturdays. I like that. And I just want to I want to hang out and just bro down.
It's
And you can't be killed by the fauna.
Can't be killed by the fauna. There's fruit everywhere, so you'll never go hungry.
It's a simpler life, man. There's nothing
That's
wrong with
it.
that. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, Joe. What about you?
Yeah, I might also have to opt into like some sort of like more simple kind of thing, but nah. I think I'm gonna do the world of Chrono Trigger. I like a world.
Nice.
Wow.
I like a world where time travel is possible, where magic is possible, where technology is at a high level. I don't know, all those things like that encompass in that entire world are just really interesting.
Nice.
And I just
nice.
like, man, I would do well. I would do well there. In any of those societies, I feel like I would have flourished.
Nice. Taking Joe, I think you and I like have like really similar aspirations, and I came up with this question. It was like hard for me to think to kind of decide myself, because taking everything which you like everyone said is like into account is is nice, and Joe, you and I have pretty similar taste when it comes to that kind of stuff too. But like I was kind of torn between like a Final Fantasy game or like Night City in Cyberpunk 2077. You know what I mean? Or like a Witcher game or something like that. I think so. What it came down to was I think I would flourish in Night City. I think Cyberpunk 2077 is the place that I think that I would enjoy living in the most.
What would you do there, though? Would you be a cold-hearted killer?
I would just be a corpo. I would for sure be I would for sure be a corpo and just like, just like blackmail my way up to the top. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. So good stuff. And
Very
it's just like I'm more of a science fiction person. I love fantasy. I'm more of a science fiction person. Cyberpunk 2077 is like one of my favorite games. So yeah, it's pretty intense. Cool. Thanks for your feedback, guys. Okay, so Ben, give us a little bit more about your background, man. Like what kind of games are you into? And what are you kind of doing these days?
Well, first off, I'm a huge, gamer. I have been, I think, since I was a kid. I think my very first console ever was, I think like PlayStation, and then I just worked my way up from there. Got myself a insane PC rig, a Zydax PC rig. So if any of the viewers know about Zydaxes, they're not cheap. So, but I needed that because, along with being a gamer, I've always wanted to create games too. So I'm a bit of a game dev myself too.
Oh, wow.
And had the pleasure this year of working alongside companies like Ubisoft on games like X Defiant, Heartland, which hasn't been really shown yet, which is to my disappointment. I want to see my work, but Rainbow Six as well. And I've helped capture trailers for them. One of my company's trailers showed up at Summer Games Fest. So I have a little bit of, like a 50-50, like a good insight into the gaming world and also a good insight into the game industry. So like, I feel like when I talk to my friends and things like that, I bridge the gap between the game industry and the gaming community, and I'm able to like see both sides of the coin. Along with that, though, I I have too many hobbies, and unfortunately, they're the most expensive hobbies too, like fishing, airsofting, and that stacks up.
Those hobbies are the shit.
Great
though.
hobbies.
Yeah, they're tons of fun, but it's a pretty penny or two. But I found myself through gaming, found my friends through gaming, and I've always been inspired by games. I think the game that inspired me the most to want to be a game dev in the future and want to be able to work on games. My dream is to work at Bethesda, because of Skyrim. Skyrim was the game that inspired me. I know it's a meme now by Skyrim, but Skyrim it impacted me in such a way that I said, I want to do something like this. I want to build the next
Hell
Skyrim.
yeah.
I want to build the next
Sure.
Fallout.
There's a reason why they remade that game so many times over and over and over
good.
again.
It's a
It's-
classic.
It's so good.
One
It's
of
a
the
never-ending
perfect
game.
Yeah,
So good.
and the
really
modding
hoping-
community is insane for that too.
You guys,
Really hoping that's what Starfield can be.
you guys got to play Skyrim VR.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've always
Man,
wanted to.
Every time you bring up some sort of VR thing, I'm just like, what am I messing up?
I mean, you have to throw a lot of mods into it to really get it working right. But after
Mhm.
you've got them running, whew, I'm gonna tell you, man, those dragons are pretty big.
That's so sick. I love
I
it.
think doesn't Skyrim already have like a native VR system?
It does, but there are things that you can do to improve it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you
So-
have to turn that on, and then plus a bunch of mods too.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like with every Bethesda game, and every like Fallout has like the unofficial Fallout 4 patch mod that like is almost a requirement to play with any kind of mod inside of Fallout, and it's
Yeah.
almost a requirement to play Fallout 4 in general now,
Yes.
because of what it does.
So, but with Fallout 4, they also have Fallout 4 VR.
Yeah.
But it was bad. So it's basically you're in VR. You can't move your arms. Your gun is like you're playing a first person game. It's stationary. So you have to add in some mods so you can get full motion controls to actually play the game.
Right.
Interesting.
I see.
Bethesda, fix your shit.
It's fun though because Bethesda has such a good community, has such a dedicated community though, and if something's not working with Bethesda, and it's not to say that Bethesda shouldn't go and fix stuff, but because of the community, the Bethesda following and the Bethesda community, eventually, even if we don't get the patch that we need from the actual game devs, we'll get it from the community at some point
Oh yeah.
because they have such a good
That's true.
relationship, and Bethesda celebrates its community all the time. Like I think Bethesda is the best at celebrating the modding community, the modding scene for any kind of company out there.
Well said.
I'm ready for their Indiana Jones game though.
I wonder when that's even going to happen.
I don't know.
I
I saw one little teaser and I haven't heard anything about it since.
Bethesda's really battened down the hatches though on Starfield as well as mostly Starfield, because I think with Redfall's release, I think we got a good idea of the fact that not a lot of resources went into making that.
Right.
It was a really, really, really rough launch, and I think it goes to show how much resources Bethesda is putting into Starfield. And what we saw this weekend with Starfield as well, that 45-minute direct, this game's huge. This game is massive.
Yeah, and we're definitely gonna get we're gonna get into that very
I'll
soon.
probably jump in topics here already, but
Oh yeah,
Starfield is the game I'm most excited for this year.
same. I have a lot to say about the direct and all that stuff, but you were actually there at Summer Game Fest, and we were kind of want to see like what kind of experiences that you had there. Like what was your take on the presentation and Jeff Keighley showcase?
I think a lot of people were really, really excited for what Jeff Keighley had to show. I loved the show itself. Everyone was there was a lot of smiling faces after the stream. There were people that were like, Where was Phantom Liberty? Where was Elden Ring's DLC? Where were those things? But regardless of that, I think there was so much to unpack and so much to love. Like, for example, we're seeing on the screen right now, Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal Kombat 1, that was a huge moment for the whole stream in general. People were standing on their feet and cheering, watching the the fatalities. The moment the show started, I knew it was going to be big too, because they opened up with Prince of Persia, which, by the way, that game has been in development hell, I think, since like 2018, something like that.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was such a shocking moment. And I was sitting with one of my buddies, and I was sitting next to, I didn't know at the time, but I was sitting next to a game dev as well who had a game that showed off at Summer Games Fest. I think it was called King Arthur or something like that. But we were all saying, wow, this is going to be a big show. If they opened up with this, I can't imagine what the rest of the show would be. And the rest of the show was crowd pleaser after crowd pleaser. Sonic Superstars, that was really unexpected. Prince of Persia, of course, Nick Cage coming out. That was a big moment. I still have the video of me recording the moment. I mean, you can't see it on the stream, but in person, Nick Cage got a standing ovation for coming out. And also Spider-Man's release date, I think that's what Spider-Man really needed. Jeff Keighley got it 100% right. He is so in touch with what everybody wants, and it got a little slow around, I think, maybe the third half of it, but that's to be expected with any show. But regardless, I think people walked out of here loving Summer Games Fest, and I think it stands as one of the best shows of the weekend.
Absolutely. It's just such a shame, coming from like the E3 days. Like, I remember going to a couple of those and just being blown away by like all the exhibits and the booths and talking to the developers, but not really missing the lines to like actually play the demos and
Dude, fuck those
like
lines.
multiple hours just to
Yeah,
play
for
like
real.
15 minutes of Halo
Exactly.
3 or something like that.
I remember I went during E3 2017, and that was the year Battlefront 2 was coming out, Mario Odyssey was coming out, and basically there weren't lines for those. There were online queues, and basically what you had to do is like 6 a.m, you had to get on and hope and pray to God that the internet did not go out at E3, which it did multiple times. And on top of that,
Oh my god.
hope that you could get into the queue without the app erroring on you. And I think the registration for queue times ended in like, I think something like 5 seconds because of so
Holy
many
shit.
people just overloading the system. So I never got to play Mario Odyssey at E3. I never got to play Battlefront, which I really wanted to. I did get to play Call of Duty World War II. That was the Call of Duty at the time. But that even of itself was like a 5 to 6 hour line, and by the time you were out of the line and already played the game, the exhibits were over. It was time to go home. So basically, what you had to do was you had to pick a game, and that would be your whole day. If you wanted to play a game, you better have really wanted to play that game, because
Yeah, you had to
that would
pick
be-
one.
that would be the end of the day for you.
Yeah, it's like kind of like going to a amusement park on a busy day. You're like, cool, I get like 3 rides I get to ride all day.
Yeah,
I know.
basically.
4-hour wait
There's
time.
no fast pass.
Yeah.
With
Yeah,
the
no
exception of the fact that it has a much earlier closing time as well. Because I remember E3, I think it closed around like 6 or 7, and that was not enough time
Yeah, it was
for
really early.
gamers to get their hands on multiple games in the same day. So
Yeah,
3 days, you could maybe get 3 games.
you're there for the
So-
vibes.
No, I'm there.
Yeah,
for
the vibes were
swag.
awesome though. The vibes were kick ass.
I'm there for the swag.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
the free swag. Yeah, you definitely get free stuff, which is great.
Oh, of course. And that was, I mean, I'm gonna miss that for sure. I'll always miss E3. But I think Jeff Keighley, putting the summer of gaming and stuff like that into Jeff Keighley's hands is the right decision. He is, he's come a long way from hosting the Game Awards to now being friends with Kojima, to being basically the voice of gaming and the future of gaming. And I think he's, doing a great job with everything he's done so far and the events he's hosting and bringing an even bigger voice than E3 did for gaming in general. And the indie titles too. Like, he's giving such a big voice to indie developers, which, by the way, indies dominated last year. There was not a single, I think, AAA title that was dominant for more than a few months, and then it went immediately back to the indies, and not even the indies that released that year, but the indies that have released in past years, where people are rediscovering for the very first time an indie title, like, for example, Project Zomboid. Project Zomboid took off.
So good. So good.
Phenomenal game, and it came out in like 2013, and people were discovering it for the very first time, and it dominated last year's Steam market.
That game is so hard.
It's incredibly hard.
I've never heard that game.
Hyper Light Drifter is another one that I just recently rediscovered. It's like it just got, I think, a special edition for the Switch, and that's an older game, and it is so good, and it's an indie game, and some of these indie games, I think they actually have a new game by the developers coming out pretty soon here, but it's so good.
Right.
Yeah, some of these indie games, man, they have like really good, just, I don't know, they do stuff out of the box, and it's just really fresh. I think that's what a lot of people are kind of gravitating towards.
Exactly. And then on top of that, it was another great game, Vampire Survivors. Another indie title.
Yeah.
$5.99. Is it $5.99? I think $5.99. I think it's free on mobile too, but $5.99 for a 8-bit bullet hell vampire style shooter and top-down experience, and what you get is hours of content that some AAA titles don't even have. So last year was definitely dominated by indies. I think this year is going to go back a little bit. The way I see it in the industry is it's going back a little bit to the AAA titles. If they can manage to live up to the hype and expectations they're setting forth for each of their games, especially like companies like Bethesda, Xbox, Ubisoft as well, with 2 major titles coming out, Star Wars Outlaws and Avatar. Both of those games are some of the biggest franchises in the world, and they have a huge expectations. James Cameron's backing the Avatar game. I mean, he came out during the Ubisoft stream. And then also Prince of Persia, which was shown at Summer Games Fest as well. There's a lot going on with the AAA titles and a lot of expectations that these AAA companies have to live up to this year. Can they do it? I think they absolutely can, but then again, we've seen games that we thought not possible to flop, like CD Projekt Red titles, Cyberpunk 2077 on launch, completely flop.
Yeah, exactly. Chris, I know we did a kind of like a co-stream on the Summer Games Fest. I know you you lost your internet like halfway through. But is there anything that you like stood out to you during the show?
Yeah, what we're watching right now.
Yeah, Spider-Man was sick.
Oh my god.
I'm absolutely in love with the first game. I've played through it all, but it was so good because it just kept me sidetracked, like doing all the crimes and like the swinging in this game is the best swinging any Spider-Man game has ever had, and they're just gonna improve on it for the sequel. And now you get to play as Miles Morales with the little squirrel suit and everything too. Like,
yeah, the squirrels.
I'm
also
excited.
Venom.
Yeah, the Venom suit.
Yeah, this movie's so sick.
That's the best Spider-Man suit ever, aside from the Scarlet.
What I got when I was there in person was when I was listening to the director said a little more than I think what was shown on at Summer Games Fest. A little bit after as well, there were a few devs there talking about Spider-Man as well, and I don't know if it was specifically said, but Venom is going to be completely original this time around. He's not. It's not an Eddie Brock Venom. It's not a Murdoch Venom. It's a Venom completely original from the comics or the cinematic universe. So there's gonna be a really interesting story with Venom going into this game.
Venom is actually Uncle Ben.
That would be such a shocking twist.
Killer.
Right. I've heard that.
Right.
I heard somebody say that, but I'm just like, I don't know about that. We'll see.
Could be. I mean, your guess is as good as any. I did not expect that the game director would say something like that, and I think it's a very bold move by such a a phenomenal game company too, Insomniac Games, who is making this amazing game as well. I think that's a really bold decision. Will it stick the landing? I guess only time will tell. But I think this game is going to be a contender for Game of the Year when it comes out. Like its first predecessor, I think it's going to be a game that people are just going to love. I'm definitely going to buy a PlayStation to play this game. I need this game in my hands, especially after the first one. Missing out on the first one, I really want to try this one, especially with the success of the last one.
Oh yeah.
I waited for the PC version.
Yeah, but I mean, but how long did that take to come out? Like
A long time, but I got
Right.
it.
Yeah.
So
You'll get
that's
it
where I
eventually.
think a lot of people are going to be at with this
Yeah.
game, is that people aren't going to wait because of how amazing the last one was and are going to buy a PlayStation. This is I think we're going to see PlayStation stock go way up this year from
Yeah.
this release.
And they
That's
have
gonna-
other things too that would like they have God of War. People would want to play Horizon. They have other exclusives that like they'll be like, all right, cool.
We
well,
have all
you know
the
what?
exclusives, Joe.
I finally have the Spider-Man 2, so I'll go back and play that. So it'll
Right.
be great.
And
Oh,
then
good for you.
the indefinite release of was it Snake Eater as well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Snake
I
Eater
mean,
remake.
I know.
It's gonna be wild.
So Ben, what was your game of show for the entire weekend?
Starfield.
Starfield. Okay.
100% Starfield.
Nice.
That game
Yeah, I would
blew
say.
my mind. I'm so happy that Bethesda took the time to delay the game. I know it was a long way. I've been waiting for this game since it was announced all the way back in, I think, 2018. I've been waiting for this title, and I'm so glad that they've continuously delayed it, because the result really shows, and what they showed in that 45-minute direct for Starfield. That's definitely the game of show for me. And then second, I think would be I want to say Sonic Superstars. That was really unexpected.
That's cool. You're a
And-
Sonic fan?
I love Sonic. I love classic Sonic.
Yeah,
Same.
me too. Yeah.
Newer Sonic is iffy. Sometimes it sticks the landing, sometimes it doesn't, and most of the time it's the latter.
What did you think of
Yeah.
Mania?
Mania was great.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no,
Mania,
I
Mania
also
was
like
killer. Oh,
Yeah,
I
Mania
love
was good.
that
I
so
mean,
much.
I mean, anything that they let the fans like have at it, and it's like my only disappointment is that they haven't done that again.
Right.
When they've seen the success that it had, it's like, what other proof do you need?
Right.
These people know the game better than you do, obviously.
Exactly. And that's the problem with, like, I think going into talking about back to Summer Games Fest, is that two companies I felt like were very and are still very disconnected. I mean, maybe you can even argue Nintendo is a bit disconnected because they didn't do anything this week. They did nothing.
Yeah, they were gone.
Crazy.
Yeah, they have their
It's-
own thing though. They have their Nintendo
I know, but
Direct
it's usually
and-
tradition that they show up around this time. Like, it's always been tradition, and they broke tradition this time. So definitely, a disconnect from them, as well as Capcom showing up, showing nothing, and then at the same time, Sega as well, having that disconnect of only now are they putting out something that everybody wanted, and that's Sonic Superstars.
Yeah, but Sega is known for disappointing like
Yeah.
fans, and this just absolutely just doing everything that it should not be doing to succeed.
Exactly. Sonic Forces was the big example of them having completely no clue what people wanted. I would argue I think Sonic Frontiers, it was a step in the right direction, but why are we only now taking that step in the right direction when when people have been shouting at them and saying to them for years since Sonic 06, you need to do stuff that we like. You need to address our comments. And then they go off and do some OC shit with Sonic Forces? What's up with that? Well, what's the deal?
Yeah,
That's not what we want.
Classic
I,
Sega.
I fell off the Sonic game after Sonic Adventure 1 and 2.
Those were great games.
And those are great. Yeah.
Classics.
After that, I couldn't play them anymore. It got too. I felt like it was a little too cartoony for me after that.
They're also very divisive games too, though, because I mean, like a lot of people would consider the first Sonic Adventure. It's like, oh, well, it's kind of like riding a roller coaster. Like it just plays itself, you know. Like you
really does.
sit it and he goes on the loop and he does this and that. And you watch all these cool cinematics that look really good, but you're like, are you really playing the game?
I felt like I did.
I felt like I did too.
But that was a lot of people's complaints to that first Sonic Adventure, which is why they made the second one a lot more action based.
Right.
Yeah.
Snowboarding down San Francisco.
I mean,
good stuff.
That's classic.
I mean, it's a classic level. City Escape, classic level.
So
the music too, everything.
So Joe, were you able to catch a lot of the showcases that happened over the weekend?
Yeah, I watched this one actually 2 times through.
What game like got you the most hyped?
Well, the Final Fantasy release was the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean Final Fantasy. Anything Final Fantasy 7. I'm like, please, just give us something. Give me something. Cool. All right, we got something. Love it, and I love how it was at the very end too.
Definitely. Final Fantasy 7 remake it just felt so good to play, man. It really it brought my childhood back. You know what I'm saying?
This is so good. Oh my god, this part of the game and the original is such
also,
an
let me
iconic
tell you,
part.
the roaring of the crowd during this moment when it came out onto the screen was insane.
Red. Hopefully you get to play as him in this one. Because last time it was just like a little tease. He's just there. So.
I did not expect to see Rebirth at Summer Games Fest. I know that people have been talking about Rebirth, and I know it's something that everybody really wants, but given the fact that Final Fantasy 16 is releasing, and now they got this mobile game releasing too, a lot of people felt like, wow, like there's no way that we're only a year out from Final Fantasy Rebirth, but apparently we are.
Yeah,
according to
wow,
Crisis Core remake as well, which is like, are they gonna? I was wondering the same thing as you're wondering, is like, are they gonna give any of those games a chance to breathe? Like, especially Final Fantasy 16, with that being like, wow, okay, this is a really big, like a mainline Final Fantasy game. We're continuing on, and we're also taking a step back to medieval kind of style. So I was like, cool, like they're gonna definitely, like, it's gonna be a while maybe before that, but no, I was like, yes, let's go, I don't care, pile it on.
Final Fantasy fans are gonna be eating good for the next like 3 years. It's gonna be a wonderful ride for them.
Screen expands too, just in general.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, great stuff, man. This has been a pretty insane few days of announcements. So, apart from Summer Games Fest to kick off and everything that we learned from there, the next on Sunday we had the Xbox showcase. They showed off the Fable trailer. They showed off Star Wars Outlaws, Payday 3, Persona 3 Reloaded, Avowed. They showed Like a Dragon 8. I can't wait for Like a Dragon 8. Like a Dragon is like one of my top 5 games, easily. It
was a big showcase.
Yeah,
massive showcase.
Something Xbox really needed this, and every game was like banger after banger. They like all the Persona games coming out.
Dude, that Persona 3 looked nuts.
Amazing.
Oh, God.
Dude, yeah. So
I'm not gonna have any of the stuff from any of the other continuations of 3, like FES or Portable. but it's a remake of the very first mainline 3 game, so that should be very interesting.
Yeah, no, it looks so good. Like they had like 3D models and stuff like that. So I'm gonna wait. I bought the Switch version of it, but I think I'm gonna definitely wait for the Reloaded. And it's coming out for Game Pass. All this stuff's coming out for Game Pass.
Hell yeah!
Xbox fans are gonna be eating good as well.
Yeah,
finally,
great showcase.
Good for you guys.
Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty trailer. We had Metaphor, another Atlas game. Super fucking stoked for. That's definitely on the top of my list.
The makers of Fallout came out and showed off Clockwork Revolution.
Clockwork Revolution, yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Definitely gave some BioShock vibes just from like the spectacle of it. I don't know about like the background. I had no idea, but it looks really interesting. Chris, did you get a chance to catch any of the Xbox showcase?
No, I didn't actually, but I did review a lot of the trailers from the list that you sent. Payday 3, man, all day. Dude, I literally have over 300 hours in the second one. It's literally like if Left 4 Dead meets Cops and Robbers. It's so engaging, like the music as you're playing, all the different weapons you can acquire, the progression is really good. And then the company, was it Starbreeze? They just, they're so good at constantly updating their game and like adding patches. It was just so good. When I played Payday 2, the Payday 3 is going to be probably my main game when it comes out.
So Ubisoft also had a showcase. They showed Star Wars Outlaws, which looked amazing. I think that an open world Star Wars game where you get to play as like a non-Jedi character is really compelling to me.
Yeah, finally.
God, please, thank you.
Breath of fresh air.
Yes.
Yeah.
That. What was it? There was another. One of the last episodes we were talking about, was it Knights of the Old Republic, or the whatever? What's
Tour?
Yeah, the MMO.
The Old Republic.
Yeah, the Old Republic. One of the
we're never getting that.
Yeah,
we're never getting that remake.
Man, don't say that.
Like the bounty hunter.
So sad though.
Being things not a Jedi. That's. I mean, some of the best Star Wars stuff has nothing to do with being a Jedi.
I know.
That whole world, the actual sci-fi world where the Force is kind of just in the background, it exists, but is not a prevalent like force in like everyday life. That's the best Star Wars for me.
So being familiar with working on Ubisoft titles as well, which X Defiant showed up, which I was really, really proud of that that trailer showed, and all the introductory trailers for that as well. I had the pleasure of working on with Ubisoft, and I've gotten to see the future of X Defiant as well. But going back to Star Wars here, working with Ubisoft, I've heard, I was hearing in the woodwork that this would be a more Mandalorian-focused game, and I heard that they were going to show it like sooner rather than later, and I was thinking, oh my god, we're getting a Mandalorian game in the hype of the Mandalorian, and we got this, and I was like, okay, it's not Mandalorian, but it still very much is a breath of fresh air for Star Wars, since we're playing a non-Jedi character, and we're playing a woman in this world who is, we don't get a lot of, I feel, in terms of characters that we get to play as. We very much get to play as, like, it's been a pattern of playing as the badass, like, absolute unit Jedi. So this is really cool to see kind of a more down-to-earth-ish approach to Star Wars than we've ever gotten before. So I'm very excited to see where this goes, regardless of the fact that it's not the Mandalorian project that people thought it was going to be. I think it still has a lot of potential to be great.
It's an open world Star Wars game.
Absolutely.
Put a blaster in my hand any day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
This looks so sick.
The one thing I would really want from Star Wars, and I've always asked around when I've ever heard about Star Wars projects when I work in the industry, I always ask around, I'm like, so Is the Star Wars project that you're telling me about? Is it something having to do with Unleashed? And they say no, and I'm like, I wish. I wish one day we'll get my man back. We'll get Starkiller back.
I know we gotta bring him into canon.
I know. I miss him. That was my favorite Star Wars game.
Those games were killer.
Yeah.
The second one, where you could have the two endings.
Yeah, it was something. I really appreciate what they did with Force Unleashed. It's such a shame that we may never get another Force Unleashed game, but I mean, only time will tell. I mean, people have been asking for Starkiller to enter the canon, I think, ever since Dave Filoni took over Star Wars permanently, because Dave Filoni did come out and say at one point he was Starkiller was actually going to be in Rebels. He was going to be one of the Inquisitors, and that was
crazy.
Yeah, that was a plan for, I think, like the final season or something like that, for Starkiller to come in and just tear shit up. And then it got canned. So we've gotten close to having him, and Dave Filoni knows we want him. So I guess it's only a matter of time that we get Star Wars portion. Oh my gosh. There's Yep, there it is. There's me. So yeah,
tell us more about X-Defiant, man.
So X-Defiant, it's being called the Call of Duty killer by the community right now. And I think
There you go, Chris.
Let's hope.
I think it isn't the Call of Duty killer. That isn't to say, Ubisoft, if you're listening to this, I am not dissing your game. I love your game. I loved it. I loved working on it. It was a blast working on it. I think it was the most fun I've ever had capturing a game ever. When I got my hands on it, me, the director, and when we were storyboarding the trailers, we were like, this is extremely fun. Like, this is really, really cool. And it's free to play. So I think Ubisoft's going to have a year on this. And we got access, and during the time when we were working with Ubisoft on this game, Ubisoft showed us some of the future stuff. I'm not at liberty to say any of it since I'm under NDA for it. I can't disclose anything that I saw.
Of course.
The future content,
we'll talk offline.
It's huge. It's insane. Like, I was really impressed. I was like, wow, you're bringing that back? Wow, you're bringing that in to X-Defiant? That's going to be, fans are going to love it. And I think that with the mentality of, there's no harm, no foul if you don't play this game, or do play this game, it's free to play. There's stuff to buy in the stores. There's stuff that, I mean, it's something to love for everybody here. And it's very, very classic gameplay style, classic arcade shooter. So, like, if you love Call of Duty, if you love, like, classic COD, like classic Modern Warfare 2, classic COD 4, it plays almost like it. I think even better than that. It's going to be the competitive shooter of this year for Ubisoft. So Ubisoft's going to have a year too.
Cool.
Really quick, I want to know how you guys feel about the Avatar game.
Ooh.
Let's start with you, Joe. I haven't heard from you in a while.
Yeah.
Not a huge Avatar fan. Probably couldn't care less.
You're not an Avatar?
No. Yeah, not an Avatar fan.
I mean, I think the franchise is safe in Ubisoft hands. They definitely have their open world games down. And
do we need another open world game based on a TV
That's
franchise?
true.
For those people
only
out
need
there,
Grand Theft Auto 6.
I was like, in my head, I was like, I don't know. Star Wars open world is the only open world like IP movie franchise that I think we really need. Everything else should be just original.
I don't know how successful this game's gonna be, but
how many Avatar fans are there? They're gonna buy this like just because it's an Avatar game.
I liked the movie that just came out, but the thing is, like, the hype did fade.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't have perpetual hype forever.
But I do appreciate being able to, like, drop into Pandora in a first person open world game that it's to me, this is Far Cry on Pandora. You know, that's a great sell
Sure.
to me. That's a great sell
Yeah.
to me.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good.
That's
call.
exactly how it looked. That's exactly how it felt watching the trailer. I was like, okay, it's mix of Far Cry, mix of Division, all mixed into now we're on Pandora with the blue dudes. I think it's definitely strange to see that Ubisoft is working on two big IP open world games. That's huge. That means that they have that they're either, you know, they found, because Ubisoft had a bit of a hiccup for the year where they kind of tripped up on themselves a little bit, stumbled a little bit, and lost a bit of money. And seeing that they have Avatar and Star Wars in the works
huge.
shows to
That's
me,
going to require a lot of resources.
yeah, that they found something along the way that's helping them to push out two major IPs. Regardless of how you feel about Avatar, regardless about how you feel about Star Wars, this is major, major, major. Like, I cannot
Agreed.
express enough how big this is for Ubisoft. So I wish them nothing but the best. And I hope that the game doesn't flop. But then again, it does have that chance of flopping because Ubisoft, unfortunately, is known at times to downgrade. And what we saw here at Summer Games Fest could be what they with the E3 demo of what they
Right.
want us to see. Is it what we're gonna get when it
For
comes
sure.
out, especially in December? Like, is it ready? Are we gonna get this in December, especially with them working on Star Wars Outlaws?
Absolutely. All right, so we're gonna get into kind of like the meat of what I thought was like the biggest thing of the showcases over the weekend, which is Starfield. So much hype about this game, needs to be great, and I really want to, after the showcase, Todd Howard did say that the game was going to release on 30 frames locked on consoles, which I feel so bad for people who solely play on consoles, because I feel like as an Xbox exclusive, this really needs to live up to all the standards that we have today. If this released on PlayStation 5, there's no way it would be released on 30 frames per second. I'd really like to get your guys' thoughts on this. Ben, like, I know you have a lot to say. We're gonna get to you last, if that's okay. We're gonna
Absolutely,
go with,
yeah. I have
we're
a good
gonna go-
insight on that too.
Beautiful. Okay, so Joe, we're gonna go with you first, man. Like, what's your? I know that you don't have an Xbox or really a PC, but like, give us like what your initial thoughts on Starfield and the news that on Xbox it's only going to be around 30 frames per second.
Yeah, I do game on PC. But my primary thing is obviously PS5. But yeah, I mean, in my head, when I see 30 frames per second, I'm just like, okay, oh, that doesn't seem like very next gen to me. But I'm sure the game has a lot to offer, which is great. I mean, the one thing about it is, like, even when you play a new game that's on PS5, you have the graphics mode and the performance mode. So last night when I was playing Final Fantasy, it's like if I put it on the performance mode, it's gonna look great, but it's gonna be taking like major hits. So you're not gonna get 60%. 60 frames locked and it looking amazing unless you're playing on like the most high-end gaming PC. So I think that's honestly going to be your best bet for doing that anyways. So I say, like, if you're going to play Starfield, you might as well just play it on PC. I don't see like a reason to play it on Xbox if that's how it's going to be.
What about you, Chris?
I agree wholeheartedly. Locking a game at 30 frames per second, there's things where you could. I'm sorry, I just had a brain fart. There's you could have times where the game starts to like clip and things like that because of the frame rate dropping. It's 2023. I don't agree with 30 frames per second. We're trying to move forward. Like 30 frames per second, weren't they doing that in like 2009, 2010?
I mean, you can like, so, I mean, it's just like people are buying Series X's for this game.
That's what I'm saying. So you've paid for the performance and you're not getting the performance.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing. Like, I actually want Xbox to succeed, but if their flagship game can't even, run. I mean, I know it's gonna be a great game. Don't get me wrong, but as a consumer who just spent $500 on an Xbox Series X, and I don't even get to use the full capabilities of it on its flagship game, is really it breaks my heart, man. To be honest.
For sure. Ryan, you remember when we were playing Ghost of Tsushima and we were playing at 30 frames per second, and then we got a PS5 and it was at 60, and you're like, wow, this is butter. It's so crazy. It's night and day. The difference between 30 and 60 is a crazy jump. The difference between 60 and 120 is not going to be as big of a jump for a lot of people, but having 60 frames per second is a big deal.
So I think that, like, the whole point of buying a console is to play a game on your TV. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars on a PC. That's why people upgraded to the Series X. They wanted somewhat of a PC like experience on their TV, and now they're not gonna get that.
Looks good though.
Yeah, it looks great. It looks great. I think that'll run fine, on the Series S, on the X. It'll be fine at 30 frames. The game will be fine. But I think that sales of the Series X might take a hit. I think maybe people might just opt in getting PCs. I know that Microsoft owns Xbox, so I mean, I don't know if that's gonna, hurt their bottom line. But if they're trying to compete with PlayStation, this is not going to help their case at all.
I'd really appreciate this game with a VR mod or a VR support.
Oh, it's coming.
Please,
now.
please.
Yeah, that's gotta come.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Please.
that's coming. Come on, just
happen.
Look at it.
I'm probably not going to play until that then.
It's gonna be something else in VR.
Good luck.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole nother game.
I like to get immersed and learn as I go. If I play something right and then I get to play it again in VR, I just motor through it and I don't get to really experience it.
For sure.
Like with the Resident Evil 4 VR game when they brought back the original, dude, I beat that shit in like 3.5 hours.
So Ben, all right. It's down to you, man. We've kind of like discussed a little bit about like a frame rate issue on consoles. I think we all agree the game's going to be fine.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
So give us your kind of take on this.
So I'm gonna just kind of it's time to put on the tinfoil hat of kind of conspiracy theories here, but when Todd said that it's a creative decision that we're putting the game locked to 30 FPS on consoles, I said, no, it's not. It's not a creative decision. It's a technical decision.
Mm-hmm.
That's not.
Facts.
So he, under the shadow of Phil Spencer, he can't say that I had to technically do this. He has to say it was a creative decision because at the end of the day, he's got to get people to buy Xboxes. He's at the same basically level here of Phil Spencer. He needs to say the things that people want to hear. And unfortunately, this is a tough pill to swallow here, but Starfield is freaking massive. And he already saw the red flag, and he said that we got to put more processes into making the game playable on console, because like console is always going to be less powerful than PC, and that's always going to be the same thing for all the time. I don't think there's ever going to be a console that's going to be as powerful as a great PC rig. But I think this is 100% a technical decision, and I think this is going to actually help in the long run save a lot more complaints, because at the end of the day, people will be playing Starfield on console at maybe half of the industry standard, but at the same time, there won't be any chugging. There won't be too many technical issues. The game will run. Todd Howard already saw that the game won't run on Xbox Series X, and maybe that's a concern to people. Maybe that's like, okay, then why would you release it like that? The scope of this game is so unbelievably massive that if he was to optimize, it would probably take another year or two for the game to release on console.
Or a new
Because
Xbox.
this game is 100% optimized for PC. He won't say it because he has to be marketable, and he has to market out this game to Xbox and PlayStation. He has to. There's just he's under contract for it.
Yeah, to me this looks like a new PC game.
It's going to be an amazing PC game. And then on top of that, let's also remember that at the end of the day too, and like maybe it doesn't apply to console, but maybe then again it does. Consoles did get mods for Bethesda games. Skyrim, Fallout 4, Fallout 4 VR, except for 76. 76 is the only one that didn't get mods because that's a live service game.
Correct.
Fallout 4 and Skyrim got mods on console. And essentially, if you wanted the same kind of mods that fix Fallout, you could get those mods on console as well. So Bethesda knows clear and well that once they release the modding stuff for Starfield, the community will take over again. Maybe it's not such a good thing for me to say that that's the excuse here, but at the same time, we're gonna get it. Eventually, people are going to fix the game to the point of where you can run the game on console at 60 FPS. Like, yeah, it's a disappointment, but at the same time, too, we still do get games that run at 30 FPS, too. So it's not uncommon to see, maybe from Bethesda it is, but it's not uncommon to see games that still run at 30 FPS. And, like, people are like, can say all they want. Yeah, that's like kind of like a Nintendo thing to do, more so than a Bethesda thing to do. But at the end of the day, I think you're going to be able to run Starfield on your console just fine like this. And I think, yeah, sure, it's good. There's going to be a difference. It's going to be a little, weird at first, but I think it's not going to take away from the overall experience of Starfield, because you're still going to be able to see all that you're seeing right now on the screen, the same as if you were playing on a PC, because those technical processes are being allocated to rendering out. And because, then again, also the planets too. The planets, Todd Howard said each of them has their own unique lighting, has their own unique environment, biome, music. That's a lot of processes. And there's over 1,000 planets. That's a lot. That takes a game to really, really get right, to get the technical processes right. So I think what we're going to see, sure, people can be mad about it all they want, but I think at the end of the day, I think it's still going to work out. I don't see anything falling for Starfield.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the game itself is going to be a huge hit. I think that, they did address that it's going to be a release like a much more better product. There's going to be less like bugs, this and that. And I'm definitely going to be playing this game on PC. Thank God, though. Thank God I have this PC to be able to play this game.
Mm-hmm.
If I only had a Series X, I'd be a little bit upset, because I would.
Yeah.
Till they find a way to optimize the engine to run it at 60 or something.
Yeah. So there's this whole. I know that they're not trying to compete with PlayStation, but hey, you kind of are. Like you're competing for space on my television screen for those gamers who just use Macs as their computers and then play games on their TVs. Well, maybe they don't care. Maybe they don't care that they don't care about the frames. They never noticed the frames to begin with. All they care about is watching it or playing it in 4K. It's definitely going to be in 4K. It's going to be 30 frames, but it's going to be in 4K, so it's going to look real nice. but you're not going to have that option for performance, which is typical for a lot of the games in this generation, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So for those people who are looking for a console for their TV, I think that this news might make them lean more towards a PlayStation 5. And if you have if you have a PC, then there's really no reason for you to get an Xbox Series X.
No, if you have a gaming PC, why? Yeah, you can play all those games, right?
So I think this is my advice. Like, I feel like Microsoft should actually leave like the home consoles behind and actually make a Steam Deck style like thing. You know, just go more handheld, but make it more like a PC.
Yeah.
You know, and make that the Xbox, because I'm sure the Steam Deck can probably run this game, right? At least I don't know if it's going to be like optimized or whatever, but
yeah, but for how long?
Right.
Yeah.
A game like this would probably drain that battery.
Will burn your hands, dude.
The battery's just like melting.
You know, I got a buddy of mine has a Steam Deck, and he's like, yeah, you know, I throw emulators on there. I can play it for like up to 8 hours. And I was like, so what about the Resident Evil 4 remake you've been playing? He's like, hour and a half, 2 hours.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
It just burns through it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it does.
Basically, I think right now we're game developers in terms of technology and developing games. They're farther ahead than what consoles and like stuff like the Steam Deck can keep up with.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, agreed.
So we're gonna see a significant. I mean, technology is always evolving. And I think you gotta have to be as a hardware developer, you do have to be kind of one step ahead of everything, and that's kind of hard to be, because what is the one step ahead, and what is the industry standard? It changes every year. The industry is ever changing. Like now we have AI. Michael Jackson singing songs or like that.
I thought he
that
came
sounds
back to
exactly
life.
like him. So the industry standard is constantly changing. Maybe that's a bad example, but it's ever changing. So we will see things that we couldn't imagine. And if the consoles can't keep up with it, and if the Steam Deck can't keep up with it, I wish them the best of luck going forward, because it's going to be a rough ride for them.
It's going to be a rough ride for gamers.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys. We're getting to the end here. Ben, before we wrap up, make sure after we cut and everything, don't leave the studio, because we gotta upload all your stuff. So once we cut here, just hang out, and we'll let you know when it's safe to log off. But
Sure.
But yeah, and I think that's going to be a wrap for us on episode 8 of SpellTap Gaming, everyone. I hope you enjoyed our journey through the Summer Game Fest and our in-depth exploration of Starfield. A huge thanks to our co-host, Christopher J. Gannon, our guest, Ben Howard, Joseph Vig. It's been fantastic having you guys with us. And again, thank you so much, Ben, for all your insights. So much.
Absolutely.
You had so much stuff that, we really don't know, because we're just gamers ourselves. Really don't touch on that developer side of things. So that was really, really refreshing. And thank you for being on the show with us.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
Hope you come back again.
Absolutely. Yeah, please. And of course, a massive thank you to all the listeners out there. Your support makes all of this possible. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more gaming discussions. Follow us on social media to stay updated. And remember, you can also tune into our audio version on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so you can take gaming chatter wherever you go. Until next time, we will see you later. See you later. Bye.
Peace.